we're back.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the Brothers Influence Podcast, where we stand to encourage, inspire, and add value in the areas of life, leadership, and community. It is June 25th, Saturday, episode 18. I'm excited to be here. Let's get started. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hello, everybody out there in streaming world. Man, my name is Ian Williams. I happen to be your purpose coach. Find me on social media at Ian Coaches, because that's what I do. Instagram, on Facebook, etc., etc. Man, I'm glad to be here this morning, man. I'm shoulder to shoulder with my brother, my dear brother, man. What can't I say about this man? Leader, father, husband, difference maker. Leadership coach, thought coach. He'll get you together. That's all I'm going to say. But before I get things going too far, I'm going to let him introduce himself.
I am Shante Price, your thought coach, and I am better because of one of the men that I'm shoulder to shoulder with right now, right? He makes me a better man because he's my main man. Sherrod is out today, but I know he's here in spirit. He's might be in the background checking on us every now and then, might jump in the chat.
Yeah.
But I said you can find me on all social media platforms, Shante Price or Shante DeBar Price. And I'm glad to be here once again to be able to glean some wisdom and dispense a little at the same time.
There we go. Hey man, iron sharpens iron, bro.
That's right.
This is iron sharpens iron in action on a weekly basis out here. We all committed learners. We have a growth mindset. Shout out to our brother, our third. He's out teaching financial literacy right now. And so we just want to, send our thoughts and prayers to him that everything is going well with that work that he's doing. And we know it's a part of what we do and a part of the heart of this Brothers of Influence, life, leadership, and community. We say financial literacy is a part of that, right? So big shout out to our guy who's not able to be here with us at the moment, but it's like Shante said, in spirit, man. He's doing the work, so we're here to support him. So, brother, man, how's your week been? How's things going?
Week has been. This week was better than the previous weeks for sure. So it's getting better. Stepping in. Knowing that I can lead and stepping into that position is a total different thing, right? And, so I'm on a journey, and one of the big things around that is what individuals like, right? That's how much easier is it to lead one person versus 3 or 6? So that's been my journey the last 9 months, right? Just being able to step into that space, knowing my ability, but all at the same time constantly being challenged around the aspect of leadership, right? And enjoying the ride for the most part, right? But scratching my head often. But I'm grateful to be out, even had been thought about to be able to do the take on this role, and surprisingly constantly being encouraged from people well above me. So that's just I think that's helps me to keep my feet planted where I am. So.
I hear you, bro. I mean, you said a lot there. I think there's some some insights we can glean, man. Leadership ain't always pretty.
Yeah.
I think. Go ahead.
And I think one of the big things is recognizing, because like you've been in that space a whole lot longer than I have, right? I recall a lot of things you said in the past about being in that space, right? That that corporate type space, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've worked for the company, doing what I do, but it's different because now I get different emails now, right? I'm not getting the emails everybody else get. I'm getting different emails.
Yeah.
So it's just like I know one of my things was I had to ask my boss. I'm like, man, over the last 9 months, it seemed I don't know why people are leaving. But I'm like, I ain't know it was like this when you get up this high. You know what I'm saying? People, and I think some people just move on, right? People grow, they find new jobs and stuff. So I don't think it's people getting fired or all that, but it's just like, man, the turnaround is wild, and I couldn't imagine that, especially with my company trying to double itself within the next 3 to 5 years, right? So it's just amazing. So at a point, just to be honest, transparent, at a point, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna be here. I'm just being honest, right?
Yeah.
But just, but as you get more acclimated into that culture within a business, you kind of see, people grow, people leave, people, it ain't necessarily people getting fired. That's just how it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're on a journey, a professional journey. If you've been doing this all your life, right? Whether you're in HR or you're in sales, right? You've been doing this thing all your life. So you're not, nowadays you don't stay with a company 30, 40 years necessarily. You know what I'm saying? So
that's true, man. What really kind of like jump started my thought process was the simple fact you brought up them emails. How they different, man. It's crazy. Like if you've never been in leadership before, when I say leadership, I mean I'm in a position where you're managing, you're responsible for people, processes, and procedures, all of the above, really. Once you step over, like you start seeing them emails, and you start seeing like you was dealing with a certain set of problems, and that's what you showed up to handle every day. When you start getting them emails, you realize like there's a whole other set of problems that's consistently having to be handled, and you had no idea.
Yeah.
You had no idea that this was like you thought you might have thought like, man, he just sitting over there playing Tetris, you know what I'm saying? On the computer. You know what I mean? No, man. Them emails come through and they don't stop. And it gives you the business about anything and everything, and you like, man. What that did for me, I remember when I first stepped over, it caused me to have a lot more respect for the leadership team. After the fact, because I was like, I didn't know, fam. I didn't know, and like the little things that the little behavioral stuff that you see, like such and such getting talked to, how hard those conversations can be, and like it's another world, man. It's another world, and it's I wouldn't. The one caution that I want to give people is because in different spaces, and it sounds like it might be similar for you, but people get promoted because they have technical skill.
Yeah.
But then they step over into the leadership role and realize they have no people skill.
Yeah.
And it catches them with a couple, 2-piece. It catches them with a 2-piece. It's not cool. Yeah. So man, go ahead, Shante.
No, so you right on point. I really can't say on that, but you if I could share it, you are very, very on point with that, and a lot of people. I think the worst part about that situation is that those people they don't want to listen, because just because you're not that doesn't mean you can't grow into it.
Exactly.
If you don't adjust, you know what I'm saying, or reevaluate where you are in that responsibility, you'll never catch up to it. And like I'll just say it, I've seen it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, you got it's discomfort that you can't avoid.
Yeah.
And you could try You can try it, and what it's going to do is it's going to have you demoted real quick.
Yeah.
And it may not be quick, but the problem is if it's not quick, it's going to be painful.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because you're going to be sitting up there trying to do your job like you did it when you weren't in charge, and that ain't the job description no more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't afford. You ain't gonna have time to take on and fix everything. And so that's where the people come into play. You got to lean into your people, make sure they have what they need. And that's a totally different ballgame than just doing it on your own.
Yeah.
And then they got to trust you that you are setting them up for success, and that takes investment, man. And so, but I really appreciate what you said though, bro. It's like stepping into that space, like. It doesn't mean that you can't grow into it, but you got to give yourself permission to practice.
Exactly. And when is the best time to practice? Up front, right? Not a year down the line trying to start, because that's like starting over. Like you gotta, if you don't get it, you gotta be able to. I just learn, man, readjust, and I think that's where too often that's where people fail. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I know, it, like my boss, he would look at me, he'd be looking at me like I'm crazy but I told him, like, because my job, they did like you get a raise every year, but they did that, and then they did the I forget what they call it, or like inflation, they adjust for inflation, all that stuff. They've been doing that the last couple of years. So before I took the position, I almost got like a $5 raise that year because of the adjustment. And so I wasn't too far off, like, from getting this job and being like, I'm like, dude, I'm not making that much money. He looked at me like I'm crazy. The money came in because of the bonus aspect. I got more money on that end. But I'm telling him, I can't live my life off that. I got to focus on this paycheck. Yeah, that bonuses come. We get, that's valid. But right. I can't make the decision just off this extra little money. Mm-hmm. And I made the decision because I know I can do it. But at the same time, I understand it's going to be a challenge because it's different in this position. Just because I teach leadership, versus me practicing out is different when I'm dealing with several different individual personalities. Right. And then not only them, I got to deal with salespeople and my boss's boss. And you know what I'm saying? A whole lot more people. And grateful that I can call guys in other depots that I've developed a relationship with and get encouragement. And sometimes they're checking up on me, man, how you doing? That's great. So that keeps me grounded, keeps me, eyes on the prize, because I know I can do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, and I think what's something you kind of brought up there is like the environmental factors too. It's going to look somewhat different for every situation, every environment. Like, for example, when, I come from corporate, but I was in a corporate space where it didn't come natural to be proactive. Everything was reactive. Everything, you were constantly putting out fires. And so that doesn't leave a lot of room to prepare people and to help them be comfortable. And it sounds like maybe you're in a similar situation. Like you're responding, you're having to respond to problems so consistently. So it's like, how do you slow down, get to know your people, connect with them, build that trust? When we think of like team building, we're like, man, can we go on a retreat or something? Maybe that's not the sort of environment that even does that sort of thing. So how do we get creative in order to connect with our folks and meet them where they are, and to develop a team dynamic, develop accountability between team members? Like, it's just so many things like you got to consider. And generally, what I'm really suggesting is it's going to be somewhat unique to every space. Now, if I go from one call center to another, there might be some similar dynamics, but at the same time, you got a whole different set of people. Yeah. What they need over at point A may not be what they need over at point B. So you got to be flexible. You got to be adaptable. You got to be willing to think outside the box. Like, man, leadership is not a game. Oh, yeah. It's not a game. But what I can tell you though is that it's worth it though. growth that I've experienced personally by choosing to deal with the discomfort of growing into leadership is a major game changer. You know, I think it was leadership that introduced me to the idea of having a growth mindset. Because if I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's always worth kind of reiterating, right?
Yeah.
The difference between a growth mindset and what its opposite is a fixed mindset. Fixed mindset is I walk into a situation, I walk into a space, or I wake up in the morning and I am who I am. I can't get no better. I can't think no different. I can't do no different. I'm the most intelligent I will ever be. I understand things the way I understand things is the way I understand things, as opposed to a growth mindset says every day I wake up, there's an opportunity for me to grow and learn and adapt and change. And it's not saying that who I am at the core is fickle, but what I'm saying is, like, if I walk into a situation ignorant, then there's an opportunity for me to learn about circumstances. There's an opportunity for me to learn about someone who thinks differently than I do, and that presented with new information could potentially change my mind about how I'm approaching a situation, a circumstance, et cetera, et cetera. And so, like last week, we talked about the importance of values and like your core self, like having a growth mindset, like it's founded in those values and principles that I hold dearly important. And it gives the room to evolve. Like the way I relate to faith now is different than the way I related to faith 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Just an example. And I feel healthier for it. And that's the thing. Because a lot of stuff is dictated to us. And if we're not careful, if we're not intentional in writing our story, in alignment with our creator, then somebody else can write it for us. And right. So there's so many things, growing up with the way I've been wired, where I've allowed other people, and people I wouldn't say they meant harm. They probably cared about me, but I allowed what they wanted and what they felt, what they believed to dictate, how I live my life, as opposed to knowing that I know that my creator is who my creator is, and I am who I am, and who I'm choosing to be as a father, a husband, a son, etc.
Yeah, I think that's when I think about what you just said, I say it's living life in the shadows, right? Because your shadow is who you really want to be, but your shadow is what following behind you. Because you're worried about what people are saying or what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a prime example, because when I did that, I ended up in prison. Right? It's just, I know I shouldn't have been doing the things I was doing, but I felt like this was the only way that I could get some semblance of peace and joy and happiness, which wasn't true. But guess what? That cost me in the long run. And when we think about the greatest leaders are awesome followers, I think that's where we too often we miss it, because you can't, if you know how to follow, right? If you know how to be that great follower, right? Following your leader, and learning from what they're doing or what they have to go through, it makes it so much more easier when you move into a position to be able to lead, because now you remember where you were and you can relate to those you're leading, no matter what the situation is. We'll run into stuff we might not people will interact with us outside of how we might have interacted with our boss at the time, but we'll still be able to take perspective and say, you know what, I get it, I was there once. But at the same time, how do I help them see the bigger picture? I think that's a lot of times why people they go along to get along, right? Because they're not seeing the big picture. They don't get it, so
Yeah, I mean that's real, and that's kind of why I'm. That's part of the reason I'm passionate about the work that we do, bro. Coaching, specifically in the space of leadership and the topics of self leadership and personal growth and all of those things, because all of this really has a lot to do with awareness. And we all have like helping someone discover their why, like why they get up every morning, as opposed to whatever is dictated to them or whatever they feel like they're obligated to do. Um, like understanding why you do it. How does it connect to your core values, and like what do you really feel in your heart is the most important thing to you? Like the way it allows you to approach life in a totally different way when you get a hold of those things, as opposed to just going through the motions, going paycheck to paycheck. It allows you to pursue the things that you really want, and what I believe, in most cases, can be God-given desires, instead of being paralyzed by circumstances, and, past mistakes, etc., etc. It's empowering, and that's really the essence of what we want here at Brothers of Influence, and why we stand to encourage, inspire, and add values, because we want to help you become aware of those opportunities for yourself, so that you can show up to work on Monday and in your full, authentic, 100%, like, this is me, and this is what I stand for, and this is why I'm here. And what we can tell you is one of the few things that's going to happen. You're going to probably have a good opportunity to move up there because you're just a difference maker, or you're going to go on somewhere else and make a difference elsewhere.
Yeah.
Doing something different. It's like, and I get excited because it's so simple, but it's one of those things. It's one of those things, man. It really does make a difference. Yeah. In not only in your career, but like in your daily life, like how you show up at home, how you show up after hours, how you show up, to support your children, how you show up to interact with your loved ones, and especially your significant other.
Yeah. I was came across something on Facebook, and they were talking about how back in the day we didn't have a choice. Today a lot of parents come home, ask the kid what they want to eat. But when we were growing up, it was this what we eat.
It is right? What it is. Yep.
And yeah. And so, and you reminded me of that when you just talk about what you're saying. What's your motivation, right? If your motivation is, and you mentioned living paycheck to paycheck, if your motivation is to get this check so you can pay these bills every month or every week or what have you, because you just don't. If you don't, you're behind, right? Mm-hmm. You're losing stuff. You're getting kicked out the house. All this stuff. So you're that messes with your values oftentimes, because now you're just on autopilot. You're getting up, going to work. You're going to a job you don't like. You got a degree you didn't want, and you got to go into a field you don't like because you figured, because you're in the mentality of lack, right? Not having, and this is the only avenue for it. But you have this passion to be creative and paint or make things, right? So you can't do what you want to do, and you're stuck where you don't want to be because you have to pay these bills, right? Yeah. But and when we talk about motivation and your why, that changes everything when you get down to those core principles, and you can adjust out of that. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if people. There's always an avenue for you to enjoy the life you desire. I don't care what it is. But we're all too often we're just caught up in getting by, getting along, paying bills. And it's just on autopilot, and you don't like your life. You're not. I've been there. Paycheck to paycheck. I've been there. Right? Debt. All these things begin to weigh on us.
Yep.
But It all starts with your why, your motivation. That you can, there shouldn't be a person, especially nowadays with technology and social media, but there shouldn't be a person that hasn't seen the impact of someone that was living on the street, and now they're multimillionaires, right? And if they can do it, anybody can do it. But it all starts with that why. What's your motivation? How are you gonna get from now, as Shiraz says, from now to next, right? How are you gonna get there? And that's why we do what we do. We believe that if you as an individual can lock down your core values and you can answer that why question, that you can transition from where you are at this moment to that next level in your life and be able to live your best life now. I don't care if you're 18, I don't care if you're 50. You can live your best life now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. That's the hope we push, bro. It doesn't matter where you are on your journey, man. These principles that we're sharing, and that's what they are, really. We're sharing principles. They can change your life, get you where you want to, get you on the track that you want to be on, whatever that is. And the thing about it is, you may not even know what it is right now, but we can help you figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the beauty of what we do, man. And shout out to my better half. We just launched a new coaching program built around this very, very idea. We've been working with clients for the last year and a half or so, man, and the results have been crazy. First of all, we got to say we're a product of the product. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be where I am sitting in this seat without the work, putting in work myself and having these conversations. We're doing it week to week. Why are we showing up every week? Because it's real, it's genuine. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not just blowing smoke. We're talking about things from experience, and we have been able to help friends. We've been able to help strangers through very difficult situations where they didn't feel like, in fact, I was talking to someone who went through our program. We talked to who was just a natural skeptic. Like, he was a skeptic of skeptics. Like, like, I'm not even sure how he even went to, sign himself up. Like, how did you even get to that point? Because I didn't see it coming. But when he did, though, bro, he's like, man, I was dead inside at work. I needed a change. Like, and then sometimes it takes that, right? I hate to see anybody get to the rock bottom, like hit rock bottom, in order to realize that they need something different. But it had been a while, and so he actually he walked me through it. He was like, man, I was dead inside, bro. I was dead inside at work. I was making decent enough money because I had food on my kids. I had food on my table. My kids with clothes and a roof over our heads. But like, I was just unhappy. I was unhappy professionally. And he talked to me. He said, as a skeptic, I always thought that getting coaching in a professional space was like a joke. I thought it was a joke. Like, what is that? And me being a coach all this time, I'm like, that's what you thought of me now. But he said he's dead inside. He said he had to find a change. And so I was like, how do you feel now, several months to a year after? He's like, bro, I've gone on to pursue my dream job, to get certifications that I needed to land the job. I landed the job, got promoted, and then got a call from another organization that was recruiting me for almost twice what I ever made. And now I'm working 100% from home, doing exactly what I want to do every day. And in general, and this is where that's all good, right? I love the promotion, I love the money, because that affects a lot of things, right? Just imagine, like, if he feels like he's working his dream job, let's not even talk about the next part yet. If he feels like he's working his dream job, he's getting up every day to do what he dreamed of doing, a year, 2 years prior, but didn't think he could. Um, how do you feel like that may or may not have affected the relationship he has with his wife?
Man, that's defining, right? Because when you even if you are making the money you desire, but you're not satisfied where you are, that's going to weigh on the family dynamic because you're not happy.
Yeah.
And it's gonna. I don't care who you are. You can't compartmentalize stuff like that when you talk about when you're in relationships. You just can't, right? You can't separate. You can't. People try to do that with their faith. Like you can't separate your faith and go to work and do what you want to do at work. It doesn't work like that. Right? It's you because if it's part of who you are, it's gonna show no matter what environment you're in. And so it could destroy you. You could be making the money, you got everything supplied, family, but it's destroying that relationship dynamic because you're not happy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So he at this point, my skeptic, he's talking about he's got a better sense of self-worth, than he had before. He feels more driven, and just overall a healthier sense of well-being. Like he feels peace, and I'm pretty sure, like he told me his wife came to him and was like, man, I've noticed a major difference in your demeanor. Even the kids have been like, man, Dad's been a lot nicer. These are the sorts of wins we're talking about, man. This is, we've been doing the Brothers Influence podcast almost 2 years now, bro. This is what it's about. You know what I mean? And so it's a blessing to hear back from clients who've had similar experiences. But that was one of the major ones, not because of the promotion or the raise, but because the family came back around and was like, "Yo, Dad's in a different headspace," like, mm-hmm. and like in a good way, like I'm loving it, like, man, that warms my heart, bro.
Yeah, it's an encouragement, right? Especially to you that even when you know something works, everything changes when you see it working, right? I don't care.
Come on, bro.
Like when people have these ideas about things, right? And they know it works, and that's cool. They talk to people about it. This is what it is, but I don't care. It's always it's when the light shines, it shines, right? I know the sun's gonna come up, but if I'm on the beach when it rises, it's a different story, right? It does this. I've seen it on TV, but it's different when you're there. And I think that's the manifestation of your vision or your dreams is what kicks it up a notch for you every time, right? Someone that's on an entrepreneurship journey, they know this idea is great. They know people love it, and they work hard to do it. And but when people start buying and talking about that thing, it just kicks it up a notch for you, right? Because you already know, but you got to see, right?
Yeah.
If I as a believer, if I'm saying God can do things in my life, and I even if I believe that He can, manifestation has to happen, right?
Yeah.
What's the scripture? Hope deferred makes the heart sick, right? Yeah, it can be challenging. It can be challenging when we're not seeing it, because oftentimes we want it now. We're in this now society,
right?
But the process is the process, right? I'm not gonna. I can't go out and lift 225 overnight. It's gonna be. I'm gonna have to take my time. I'm gonna start lifting, start conditioning, and weekly. And I might not do it in a month or 2 months, but come around that third month, if I'm still there, sticking to it, jogging every day, doing my push-ups, doing my what have you, my routine, on month 3, guess what's happening? I'm getting in there, and especially if I got somebody that's rocking with me and encourage me. No, bro, we got it. No, we ain't no sleeping in today. But when that day comes, come on, I'm gonna spot you. I got you. You finna do this. Come on, man. Set it up. And when I get on that bench and I unrack that baby, pull it down, and he encouraging me, and I push it out, whole different ball game, right? Now, now I'm thinking about that extra 10 pounds next time around, right? That's the process. And that's our motivation, to be able to see individuals who have a vision and a purpose, that they know that if this thing's manifest in their life, they're going to enjoy life more. They'll be able to take care of their families. They'll be able to give more, volunteer, all those things that you desire. That's what we want to do. And that's what we do.
Right.
We take you from now to next on your journey, so that, guess what? You can keep adding another 10 pounds, right? When it's all over, when we take you through the process, you'll be able to continue to add weight, or continue to add businesses, or continue to expand your network of whatever, right? But at the end of the day, you'll be enjoying your life to its fullest. Yeah, there's going to be ups and downs. Sometimes it's going to be a roadblock up there, but guess what? You might have to take a detour and come around. Just since I said that. So I'm in Michigan. Construction is always, I don't care. It seems like it's never not construction in Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So last weekend, on my way up to visit my family, and they don't have any of the detour signs up. So it literally took me 30 extra minutes just to get on the road. Literally 30 extra minutes just to get on the road, because they didn't have everything was blocked off, but they didn't have the detour signs necessary for. So I know how to get around, but it's like, okay, I went to this exit, everything blocked off. Went to this exit, everything blocked off. So literally 30 minutes just for me to come all the way around and get back on track. It was challenging. I actually told my brother, I said, man, if I ain't need to be up there, I'll be turning around, going home, go to sleep. Right? Because it was kind of getting frustrating, because guess what? Usually there's the detour signs are there, so that, guess what? This is the way to go, so you can get back on track.
Yeah.
So I just use that as an example. That things like that are going to happen, but we give you the principles that even if that does happen, guess what? I still went to my destination. I didn't turn around and go to sleep, even though I wanted to, because I had somewhere to be. I had responsibilities, and I needed to be somewhere. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, you was preaching, bro.
I learned from some of the best, man. That's all I can say. That's all I can say.
But that's what it is, man. That you can see that passion that came through, bro. It's genuine. These things are real to us because they work for us, and we want to turn around and empower and share with others. And really at our core, I think that's part of our nature, and part of what drew us to each other is like we feel called to uplift, to build other folks up, to help them see their real potential. Like, I can think of some times where people that have been important to me, I can think of my little brother, man. I remember when we were young people, and people would compliment me or affirm me in something that I was meant to do or supposed to do, and it would be like, okay, I appreciate the encouragement. But strangely enough, and I knew this probably looked crazy to other people, but when that same person turned to encourage and edify and build up my brother, and I knew it was real, bruh, it would, like, my heart would leap. I'd probably cry. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, why you all stoic when I tell you about you, but you get excited when I'm building up your brother? But I think that's something that's the truth about me. Like, I just love to see people built up, man. like, I really want to see a difference made in the lives of others. And it's not to say that I don't need work myself. Of course I do, which is why I do what I do every day. Like I strive to practice what I preach, and I haven't always done that in my 30 some odd years. But at this stage of the game, like the cost only increases, the cost only get higher. I have no choice. I don't know about you, bro. but I realize like I need this just as much as I feel like I have a heart to share it. So, but yeah, man, that's a true story, bro. I remember specifically one time I'll just say my brother was being ministered to, man, and I'm the one that's crying. Like, why am I crying? Mm-hmm. But it's because I've always had that heart, right? I just want to see you built up, man. I want to see you reach your potential, bro. I want to see you overcome. I want to see you be all you can be, bro.
Yeah.
And if there's anything I can do to support that, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to put myself in a position to do, bro. Your life can be changed, and not only your life can be changed, these things are capable of changing generations. Because these are things that we have gleaned, but we weren't, these aren't things that we grew up being taught. And it wasn't just because we didn't have people that loved us or cared about us. They just didn't know. And so that's where that awareness comes in. But once you're aware, man, listen, you can start teaching, you can start passing these lessons on to your children because their principles, they're at play regardless. And that's the thing. Like a principle is like what I always describe. It's like a universal law. Like the law is in operation regardless if you know it or not. No matter what your age. And that's why it can meet you where you are, no matter where you are in your journey, because it's in operation whether you're in elementary school, it's an operation whether you're in college, it's an operation whether you're 60 years old getting ready to retire. Mm-hmm. Like, and it can still change your life just by simply becoming aware and taking responsibility for it.
Yeah. From the age isn't relevant to someone's vision or purpose, right? It's it's just perspective. If it's your time, or you know that there's something lacking, it's just about finding the information you need or the people you need around you to set you on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
And like for me personally, I just think about not having the confidence to do things growing up, even mentally knowing I can do stuff, but not having the confidence to do it. Right. And it took the journey, the journey I had to go through to get to where I am. I don't want anybody to have to go through.
Yes, sir.
I don't want anybody to have to go my route to find out your why. Right. Or to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and know who you are and know your capabilities without doubt, knowing that this is what I can do and this is what I can accomplish. I don't want you to have to drive around the block I had to drive around, right? When I can show you the shortcut to get to where, because the shortcut starts a new journey, right? It doesn't mean that you're getting over or going past those obstacles that you need to go through to be able to know who you are.
Yeah.
But it sends you on a different path about learning those lessons, right? You don't have to go to prison like me. You don't have to, you don't have to be on supervised release like me. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do those things. And as I'm volunteering for this organization to just be able to be a mentor to young man, that's the story that many of us are telling the young man. It's like, hey, we went through stuff, we did stuff, we smoked weed, you know what I'm saying? We sold drugs, we did all this different stuff, but we're here today because we paid the price for doing these things, and we don't want to have to see you pay that price.
Right.
And because and it's about honesty in that environment with, especially when you're dealing with kids. You know, they don't want to just hear somebody tell them this what they shouldn't be doing. Most people know what they shouldn't be doing. Most people don't need to be told what they shouldn't be doing. Most people need to know the benefits or a different or the clarity of a different way of not doing what they're doing. Right? I got a nephew right now. Love him to death. Been telling him, you know, he knew when he was born, I was in prison. Been out the last 9 years, talking to him, encouraging him, just like, hey, this ain't the way it is. But today, he's on his way to prison. And so some people, especially, and it's, you know, it's difficult with family. That's just the reality of it. But some people, they too often, people have to learn the hard way. And that's just a tragedy.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. And you know, I was at a fatherhood forum Thursday night, and some of the brothers were talking about how they raised their children, and they still ended up going down the wrong path.
Mm-hmm.
And I, you know, my son is only 6, and I'm blessed to have another one on the way in a couple months. And I, you know, I don't want to imagine that reality, but like the brothers was talking about how they did the work, man. You know, some of them did. Some of them, you know, of course there's the stories of the fathers that weren't present. Yeah. It's like these fathers, like, I was present.
Yeah.
And I would teach them everything. I taught them everything. And one of them were just talking about how they sat across from their son in visitation, and you know, his heart was broken just seeing his son in that situation, and it seemed like his son recognized what he was feeling, like, because he wasn't trying to communicate it, like he wasn't, woe is me. He wasn't in there like, woe is me, you know, my son is in this situation, blah 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 blah. But his son perceived, and so his son's response, he just said, "Dad, I heard everything you told me. So I heard it all. In fact, I can recite it back to you right now if you wanted me to. And I know it well enough that I'm teaching the guys in here what you taught me." He said, "It's not your fault. I just did what I wanted to do." And I can't imagine, bro. I cannot imagine. And so, but I think he described it as kind of like bitter. It was bittersweet because, like, it didn't change that his son was still on the other side of that glass. Yeah. But like, his son, you know, knew enough to affirm him, like, "Dad, it's not your fault. You didn't do this." And so, you know, that's not the sort of responsibility we're trying to take for people here as we teach. If you allow us to give us the privilege to journey with you, great. These are the sorts of things, like the sorts of things we're discussing, and we want to help position you to be in your child's life and to teach the things and to be that influence, and hopefully, you know, they'll make a different decision than my brother's son. But at the end of the day, it's really about doing all you can, because we don't want to be known as man. I don't want to be known as a man that didn't try. Yeah. You know, my son's being 6 and another one on the way. Like, I don't want to be a man on the other side of the glass and be like, "Man, where were you? You ain't tell me nothing. I don't need nothing from you now." God forbid that we ever end up in a situation like that. But I just want to be known as a man that tried. You know what I'm saying? I want to do my best to reach my potential as a father, do my best to reach my potential as a husband, as a friend, as a, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why we're showing up on a weekly basis, having these conversations. That's why we're being intentional about what we are exposing our children to, as far as other families and environments, and just allowing them to learn and see. Man, the world is so much bigger than our life, the life as we know it, and there's a lot of opportunity that comes along with that, that can really set them up for success.
Yeah. And I think another thing is this: what we've been talking about. This is a fragment of something bigger called mental health, or let's say last month was Mental Health Month. This is Men's Health Month. So let's just say this is a portion of overall health, right?
Come on, bro.
And I believe I believe there's balance in everything, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked about earlier how the man that he has the job that's making the money, but he's not happy. So it spills over into the family, and the wife's not happy. Yep. And Ian told a story about the guy that was part of the program, and now his family is saying, man, Dad's different, right? Because he made that transition to being able to do what he desires to do, and how it trickled down into the family. Mm-hmm. So, and when we talk about health, mental health is absolutely paramount. It's important. We have to be mentally fit, because if you're not mentally fit, your physical fitness isn't going to mean nothing in the long run, right? But we also need to be physically fit. See, all these things, and we tend to make things more difficult than they have to be. We need to get out and move. Take a walk. It's summertime. Take a walk. If you got a flight, if you got some stairs, you got a second floor, and you got to walk up those stairs a few times. All these things work, but health is so important, because if I have a 4-year-old daughter, and if I want to be here to see her graduate, see her get married, see all these things, see my grandkids, I have to be healthy enough to survive that long. Mm-hmm. So I have to be responsible with that, because it won't be anybody else's responsibility if I fall over and croak tomorrow, and it's because I wasn't taking care of myself. Diabetes running my family. So guess what? If I don't want to get it, the potential is there for me to have it. I need to take care of myself.
There it is.
I need to eat right. I need to get enough sleep.
Come on.
So I just want to throw that in there. Especially us as Black men, we need to take accountability for our health, because too many of us are dying young, in our 30s and 40s, from heart disease and things like that. Things that are preventable. That's the key thing. There's things that are preventable. Some things aren't preventable, but even if they're not preventable, guess what? Oftentimes people get over those challenges for the simple fact that they're healthy. They've taken care of themselves, right? Right. A healthy man fighting cancer is going to be different than a man that's out of shape and not taking care of themselves fighting cancer. That's just the fact. So I just want to say that I want to encourage you to take control of your health as a whole.
Come on, bro.
Your mental health, your physical health, right? Your relational health, also important, right? Toxicity in your relationship isn't good. Whether I don't care who it's between, you and your mama, you and your daddy, you and cousins, wife, you need to take care of your health as a whole.
Come on, bro. This is the Brothers Influence Podcast, where we stand to encourage, inspire, and add value in the areas of life, leadership, and community. It's my prayer that we have done that, and you got some value out of the time that you kicked it with us today, man. Brother Shante, our thought coach, was on fire today, man. And he did us justice by shouting out Men's Health Month, bro. As always, we are mental health advocates. We are men's health advocates. Brothers, we got to take care of ourselves as we take care of each other. Man, another great episode. I'm gonna let the mic drop with my bro. So we appreciate you rocking with us. Episode 18, we out.
Holla.